took the step? Was I moved by lust? Was I moved by faith? The truth has a way of finding the light or changing in time. Did I fall in love? Did I make it up inside my mind?
Welcome back, Overwatch fans, to another amazing night.
We have a fantastic match tonight, no question about it.
Oh my god, yes!
Look up a run! Make sure they can't even follow up afterwards.
And Watcher's down 2 in this fight thus far. Make that 3, make that 4 right now here. Dynamic team gets a 4-man tire.
Those who find the picks will save the fights, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
100 gets 3 with the primal rage.
Experience tranquility.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Transcendence Tier Preseason Finals matchup for the Season 10 of Tranquility. Tonight, the Guangzhou Gangsters are taking on Amnesia for the glory of being crowned Preseason Champions. I am BethCon2. I will be your analyst for the night, and joining me is CB on Play-by-Play. How are you doing tonight, CB?
Hello, good evening. It's a nice sleepy Wednesday evening for me, and I'm just looking forward to hyping things up a little bit here with these two juggernauts of the Transcendence Tier duking it out in some preseason action to give us a precursor of what we're going to be seeing throughout Season 10. I'm really excited for the new season, and this is as good a taste of it as any.
Absolutely, and both of these teams are looking to be absolutely unstoppable coming into the preseason here. Both of the teams only dropped a single map in the bracket leading up to this, so it's going to be a hell of a game tonight for sure. Wanted to talk about the Guangzhou Gangsters first. Both of these teams are long-standing organizations in the community, and both are chock full of veteran talent. But Guangzhou has a pretty good track record under their belt, being the Season 8 champions, followed by losing in the semifinals last season to the eventual Season 9 champions, the Decapitators. And they have a lot of really strong talent returning to this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the opportunity to cast the All-Star game just a while back, and Guangzhou Gangsters as well as Amnesia, both these teams are just stacked with talent that I immediately recognize. It's like, hang on, yeah, I watched these people play, back in the All-Star game. So like all of the top talent, or I shouldn't say all of the top talent, but a lot of the top talent in Transcendence Tier is going to be in this game tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Guangzhou has 5 All-Stars on their team. 4 of them are returning from Transcendence Tier All-Stars last season, with Haru Hero and Frozen on DPS, Tyler on tank, and Truedonger on support. But they're also picking up a Discord Tier All-Star DPS in Reborn, who is joining them here.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting promotion, seeing what they have to offer to this new tier, a bit of a step up to the Transcendence tier. We'll see if they're able to hang, if it was worth a pickup, or if they were a hidden gem down there the whole time, just waiting to blossom.
Definitely. And for our other team, Amnesia, they're no slouch either. Again, the Nostalgia Org has been in the community for several seasons now, and although they underperformed a little bit last season, they did have a good mix of returning talent and new blood, and have looked really strong in their run-up to this preseason. They have some returning players in Speedy, who is a strong leadership presence on DPS, Season 9 All-Star tank Greninja, and a couple of really veteran coaches as well.
I'm hoping to get to see a little bit of Greninja because I remember seeing him in the All-Star game as well. Also, I'm not sure if Amnesia is in Greninja's move pool, but if it is, look for that special defense to be sharply raised right out of the gates. Amnesia, they should be able to put up a pretty solid fight here. The talent is definitely there for both of these squads.
Absolutely. And when I reached out to team leadership tonight, they said to keep a particularly close eye on Star Platinum, who is one of Amnesia's tank players. Hasn't played tank since Season 6, but been an absolute force to be reckoned with in this preseason so far. Looks like we're going to Lijiang Tower to start up here. Both of the teams running a little bit kind of a brawly, rushy comp style here.
Yeah, the main thing I'm looking for right now here, though, is Frozen over on that Junker Queen. A lot of people have been trying to lean towards that Reinhardt brawl that Amnesia is flashing right now and that they've already come out with. Teleporting to the point and going to have the Mei to kind of wall off the Guangzhou Gangsters, keep them at bay, put up some turrets with the Sim, and really maintain control of this point. I'm not quite sure how well the Junker Queen is going to be at breaking this kind of hold, but that's going to be the task at hand for Frozen, who is right up here in the face, putting in the damage, trying to get something going here. And the wall comes out, but they're able to slip right past it. Guangzhou Gangsters, they go in and they take the fight, they lose a couple of key members, that being their entire backline right out of the gates, and that should be a successful first hold for Amnesia as they take control of the point.
Certainly. Amnesia ran that absolutely perfectly. When you're running a brawl into a brawl comp, you want to get that point presence established as quickly as possible. And with Capital and the Symmetra being able to teleport the team there fast, Guangzhou Gangsters just were not in an optimal position to get set up there. We do see that the Guangzhou Gangsters are switching over to a little bit more of a divey pokey comp, which is kind of what you have to do when you're running into such a strong brawl comp that Amnesia is running.
Yeah, you still got to be on the lookout for Speedy on the Mei here, though. That's still going to be a threat. The walls aren't going to be quite as powerful, but that slow is going to be really, really annoying, but not quite as annoying as literally beating yourself over the head with a hammer. Star Platinum just comes up, cleans up a 2K, quick and easy, and that's the fight win for Amnesia yet again.
Yeah, and again, Star Platinum, one of the players to watch that Amnesia told us about early on, absolutely looking oppressive on that Reinhardt here. With the swaps the Guangzhou Gangsters have made, they don't have any ultimates coming up into this fight, while Amnesia is coming up on 4 of their own here, so they definitely have the advantage as we reach the midway point of this map.
Yeah, if that's if you're Amnesia, or sorry, if you're Guangzhou Gangsters, the game plan has to be going with the dry fight, try and get as many of these ults out as possible, maybe try and build up some of your own. A couple early picks come out, and there's that Earth Shatter invested, but Amnesia are able to hold on to just about everything else that they need. Guangzhou Gangsters, that dry eco fight didn't really get them a whole lot of economy.
It didn't. They are coming up on a couple of ults here, but we're reaching kind of the late stages of the fight here, and they just swapped one of their supports over to an Ana, which is going to put them at an even less of an advantage moving in here. Amnesia's playing this perfectly. I don't know if I've seen a lot of shatter kills on Pharahs before, but Star Platinum's definitely just flexing on them with the Reinhardt this map.
But speaking of Pharah, you kind of have to be looking at Cam with that Rocket Barrage because that is the most impactful ultimate and really the only one that Guangzhou Gangsters have access to right now. They can look at some other ones, but they need to get some value with this. But the immortality is good and no one falls despite the health bars getting really, really low. And in fact, it's Haruhiro who ends up going down first. And the sound barrier in the window both come out from Amnesia, and there's not a whole lot else for Guangzhou Gangsters to try and sustain. Of course, the pop over Valkyrie and the Primal Rage just to keep themselves alive on the point, but they need to find the picks, and Frozen actually does come up with a pick-off onto Speedy and follows it up with one onto Saga, and despite all odds, Guangzhou Gangsters do end up flipping the point.
Yeah, that was an absolutely lovely heads-up play by Luca on the Baptiste, putting up that immo field and saving their team. But Guangzhou was able to turn it around. Slimall got a really clutch res off on Haruhiro on the Ana, allowing the Guangzhou Gangsters to keep their sustain and eventually flip the point over. Amnesia does have 99% here, but they are switching over off of that brawl comp now onto sort of a pokey divey comp of their own.
Yeah, they did invest all of their ults into that fight in which the point did flip, so they can afford to make a wholesale composition swap here, but what they can't afford is to keep getting staggered out like those 2 quick, easy picks coming through there from Cam. They can try and take a reset and go for a little bit of a re-engage here, but they need to be a little bit more focused in their dive. They need to coalesce on one target, go in on them like True Dogger in the back there on that Sojourn, but there's not really any follow-up with Star Platinum's Wrecking Ball there to really lock that kill out. Luca does fall though, as does Speedy, so eventually Guangzhou Gangsters is able to clap back and punish that a little bit of discord in between the players of Amnesia.
Yeah, a couple of ults there used by the Guangzhou Gangsters. They use Nano and Overclock. Amnesia, though, still only closest to their tank ult here. 2/3 of the map about down, and Guangzhou Gangsters are actually looking like they're in a really good position to hold this here.
I also don't know how I feel about having this Mercy Lucio support line, because you gotta imagine that the Mercy is gonna try and be attached to the Echo more often than not, which means the only healer that you have to try and build up ult charge off of that tank is going to be the Lucio. And you see, only at 60%, Saga is a mile away from that sound barrier, as is Amnesia with the rest of their ultimates. They're not getting a whole lot of value. They're not really playing together in the way that they really need to be if they're going to be on this dive comp. It's night and day from what we saw with the Rhine Rush.
Yeah, they're just looking a little bit less coordinated than they were on that. Star Platinum coming in with his mines, mining off the supports. This could be huge for Amnesia here.
And it looks like True Dogger is actually going to be the first target to fall. Ends up getting picked off a little bit there, a little bit of focus onto that, but the barrage comes out from Cam, a solo barrage onto Saga. Haruhiro falls, but as True Dogger does end up getting res, so Guangzhou Gangsters still a little bit up in the fight, but that pickup there onto Cam might actually flip it in favor of Amnesia. Frozen is going to pop the Primal Rage, and he does take out Capital with it, so that is a good start. You have to make sure you stay on the point. Don't C9 Amnesia. Don't forget about the point there. Rez goes out onto Capital off that Valkyrie from Luca. Very well played from the support there, and that's actually going to be huge value there, but the fight is still scrappy. It's going a little bit both ways, and no one can really clean it up. We're at 99 to 99. Sound Barrier going to come up with the Saga. It's going to be a lot to chip through if you're Guangzhou Gangsters. A lot of big damage there from Star Platinum on the roll there. True Darner gets rezzed. Slimel very, very low, has to try and Guardian Angel away. Does in fact get out, and the picks are coming in favor of Guangzhou Gangsters, and it's only a couple more bodies left to deal with. Minefield is going to come out from Star Platinum. Very low HP, and Frozen actually going to clean that up and sweep the rest of the mines, and that is going to be it. At 99 to 100, Guangzhou Gangsters will take Gardens.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful play by Guangzhou. They saw what Amnesia was running and decided to run something completely different into it, which, when they won the fight, then forced Amnesia to swap to something a little bit more pokey. Amnesia's looking a lot more comfortable on the brawl than on like a dive poke comp here, so I wouldn't be surprised if they switch back over to it. One player I want to shout out for Guangzhou Gangsters is Slimel, who is playing the Mercy on that map. They were pocketing the Pharah for a decent amount of it, but honestly, like, the number of clutch reses they were able to get off during that map was absolutely wild. We do see both teams are running out on a brawl comp. Capital is back on the Symmetra, which will give Amnesia a little bit more speed, but the Guangzhou Gangsters look like they're running a little bit more of a high damage output comp, running that Junkrat Sojourn combo here.
We'll see which one ends up getting the better. Typically, I tend to favor the Mei in this sort of situation because of the ability to wall off the enemy Reinhardt, but it looks like Star Platinum is playing a little bit more split there, and I haven't seen the wall go up to really pressure Frozen out though, but a little bit of damage, making them kind of think twice. Gonna let Haruhiro get some of that ult charge off, heal everyone back up, and opting to take the fight. It looked like they were trying to rotate back to White Room, but they're kind of split. They don't really know which way they want to go in here. It looks like they're eventually going to go in main, but in all of that confusion, they've already lost Cam, and they're going to be forced to backtrack right away.
Yeah, that's a tough fight if you're a Guangzhou Gangsters player, although Frozen does take down Speedy, which technically makes them even here.
It does, but yeah, that Fire Strike between Frozen is definitely going to mean that Amnesia are going to have the first control here. The point is going to go ahead and start ticking up in their favor, but yeah, a little bit of parity there, a little bit of taking your enemy down with you here, but we'll see what Guangzhou Gangsters are able to come back here with.
And again, Amnesia just looking really, really comfortable on this brawl. Star Platinum almost up to an ult. Capital already has that wall, and Luca already has their window up, putting them at a really big advantage coming into this fight. Guangzhou just needs to play really coordinated here if they're hoping to make a dent into this point.
Shout out to Lil Jon and the East Side boys, because Amnesia are going to pop the window and the walls, and Guangzhou Gangsters are going to be forced to back almost all the way up. They don't want any of that. They're going to have to go back in. With this window, though, thankfully they didn't lose anybody, and those ults are now offline, so the window is going to come out here from Haruhiro, and that's going to be some big damage onto the shield of Star Platinum, who's going to try and play from cover, but you got Frozen in there swinging. Star Platinum actually going to invest the Shatter. It does take out Cam, but Cam survives, but they actually went for a charge onto someone else that was not shattered. Sound Barrier going to come out from Slimel. There's only 3 members of Guangzhou Gangsters left on the point. It's an even 3 for 3. Blizzard also going to be invested by Speedy, but I don't think it's really catching much of anybody. Both of the Baptistes fall. It's a little Mei v Mei with some Speedy frogs to keep pushing them around here. Frozen is now back, and speaking of Frozen, looks like Amnesia is about to be just that. Thank you to the Blizzard from Cam. Sound Barrier, though, does get invested, and this is a very long, bloody, staggery, ultimate fight, and Amnesia continue to pick up the time, and they're actually starting to win out this fight now, so they're already in one-fight territory off of essentially just one really big, long fight.
Yeah, even though Amnesia technically lost that fight and the Gangsters were technically in control for most of it, they were able to stay alive long enough that it's at 95%, and they're just going to have to look for a last-minute touch here.
Yeah, we're at 98%. Overtime wick does start ticking out, but Guangzhou Gangsters, they're going to have to start getting something, and the only man on their team with an ultimate True Donner with that overclock gets charged by Star Platinum and wiped right off the map just as he went to pop it, and there is no one else with a tool in the box to try and get themselves on the point and start flipping it over. 100-0, Amnesia look to be the betters on this brawl comp.
Yeah, Amnesia just honestly played that so smart. Like you mentioned, it was just one long fight in the middle there. Guangzhou Gangsters kind of kept trickling in because it looked almost winnable every time. But unfortunately, Amnesia was able to hold on and just really play that super patiently and super well, and eventually flip the fight back in their favor by using some clutch tempo ults here. Going into this, it does look like Amnesia is sticking on that brawl comp, which honestly makes sense. They've been looking really, really good on it. Guangzhou is going over to, I guess, sort of a variation on the old 6-man comp, unless with a Hanzo, but it'll be interesting to see kind of how these teams play into each other. Guangzhou Gangsters are going to probably want to play this more assassination style, whereas Amnesia is just going to stand on point and bunker up.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the game plan is here for Guangzhou Gangsters. I think they want to use the Storm Arrows and the Discord Orb and just some of that Zen Orb spam to try and burst down the shield, but that's really the only value, the only, like, modus operandi I can try and parse together from this composition here. It's a bit of a weird one. The Zen Moira isn't the most common backline here, and Amnesia, they already have established themselves as a presence on the point. The turrets are up, they use the TP to get there early, and Guangzhou Gangsters, they don't really have a place that they can just get a good jump in with that Winston. So first point is already going to go over to Amnesia. They're going to go ahead and start ticking it up. Frozen is critically low on that Winston. They're just trying to take a little bit of cover and use the Harmony Orb and a little bit of Moira spray to try and get himself top back up, but he hasn't really been able to go in and get a jump here. Like, who is your dive target? What are you hoping to accomplish with this dive comp?
Yeah, and they're running such a strong sort of anti-dive. I mean, they have the Symmetra, but it looks like we do have an ult coming in here from Slimal, which may help turn things.
It does indeed. It actually helps clean up Star Platinum, and Haruhiro going to get a pick off there onto Speedy, and that Coalescence actually seems to be massive for Slimal, who ends up getting the 3K there right at the end. And maybe that was the game plan all along, just farm for Coalescence and hose everyone down.
Maybe it was. It seemed like it worked really, really well for them. Slimal, honestly, has been really strong on the support basically all night. We've been saying their name a couple of times. Amnesia, though, is coming up on 5 ultimates here and just teleporting straight onto point where they have the advantage in terms of a brawling comp.
Yeah, but you gotta be on the lookout for Guangzhou Gangsters. They're gonna have a lot of ults coming up here. Immortality Field gonna come out to try and negate the Dragon Blade from Cam, and a little bit of pressure from a Reinhardt gonna definitely make him think twice about going in. Also gonna go ahead and clean that one up. So that's one pick down and one ult off the field, but Guangzhou Gangsters still have a wealth of other resources, and Amnesia, they have an exit.
Yeah, Amnesia is coming up on 4 ults of their own, which is going to be pretty big for them, but Guangzhou definitely has some that can counter them.
I saw the Shatter go in, but I'm not quite sure who it hit. Star Platinum maybe whipped that one just a little bit there and gonna get punished just a little bit. They do in fact lose both Capital and Luca early on in this fight here. And like you said, the ultimates from Guangzhou Gangsters, the Dragon and the Primal both come out. Guangzhou Gangsters, they can afford to use these ultimates here, but hang on. Star Platinum with a 3K. All right, who needs the Shatter? I'll just swing my hammer, toss a couple fire strikes, and clean up the fight that way. And Amnesia are going to be able to flip the point off of that 3K.
Yeah, Amnesia Guangzhou looked like they were in such good control of that fight, but Star Platinum with 97 hit points to their name were able to get the picks that they needed and hold that, even though all of the supports were down, and just really turn the fight in Amnesia's favor. 68 to 39% here as we approach the next fight. Haruhiro still holding on to that trance could be big for them, especially since Star Platinum is coming up on another Shatter and Luca is coming up on another window here.
That's actually lightning fast charge for that extra Shadow there. I didn't even realize that from Star Platinum. I'm glad you pointed that out. Yeah, Haruhiro does actually have to play safe and be careful to not get shattered, but I kind of have to wonder if Guangzhou Gangsters have even called out that Shatter is a possibility, because surely they're not expecting it. It does come out, but the Transcendence is good, and it is going to keep everyone topped up and healthy, including Frozen, who is actually looking a little bit worse for wear there. Haruhiro with a nice 2K, though, actually cleans up that Reinhardt and gets another kill as well. The Dragon Blade from Cam to clean up the last remaining 3 members, and at about 75%, Amnesia are going to drop the point to Guangzhou, who are going to start ticking up.
Yeah, super even map here coming up. Star Platinum unfortunately did hit some with that Shatter, but did hit some with that Shatter, but unfortunately for him, Haruhiro did have the trance up at that time. Haruhiro already up to about 50%. Slimal has another one of those big pulls online, but Capital pops the Deadeye early here.
If that's going to be their win condition, that Coalescence, they've gone ahead to pop it to try and make this look exactly like that first fight. They do eventually finish up Star Platinum, but I don't think they got quite all of the value out of it that they wanted to. That Deadeye did effectively zone a lot of the members of Guangzhou Gangsters off of the point here, and Amnesia do eventually flip it back at 95%. You've got about one good fight here left for Guangzhou Gangsters, and True Dogger, be extra careful there, my boy. You definitely don't want to get staggered out now.
Definitely. Has ult up, should be able to use that to help clear the point, but Amnesia coming up on a couple of really strong counter ultimates of their own with the beat and the window. Guangzhou's going to want to probably build that monkey ult up as early as possible in order to just maintain their point presence here.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and use the Dragon Strike to try and clear that point, as you said, and Frozen does go in, but he dies about 5% away from that Primal Rage, so he's not going to be able to use it. That's off the field, as are all of the members of Guangzhou Gangsters, save for one lonely Moira and an angry Genji, who does go down swinging, but it looks like Amnesia, very close match there, but they will take the 3rd point here and end up taking Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, if all of the maps like following this end up like this one, it's gonna be a hell of a night. Amnesia ends up winning that very, very close map, sort of setting them ahead here. We see Cam getting play of the game, probably for that 3K Genji blade in this map. But honestly, like, it's been really cool to watch both of these teams with both very different sort of comfort styles that they're running play into each other, and just see how they're using the map and their comps to their advantage here.
It really does feel very back and forth in a lot of these ways, especially on these comfort picks. And in that Rhine mirror there, you definitely saw Amnesia getting the better, absolutely. So if they try to stick to more of these brawl-heavy maps, you got to expect them to, you know, end up taking the lead here. But Guangzhou Gangsters, if they end up picking a map where that dive is more favored, it could realistically go either way. It just kind of depends on who is capitalizing on the other team's mistakes a little bit more. You know, like I said, you had Star Platinum just completely whiff a shatter, but doesn't actually get completely punished, like doesn't die and ends up just cleaning up with a 3K at the end. Like, I would be so upset if I was a player on Guangzhou Gangsters for that. I'd be like, why didn't we kill him? Why didn't we? why didn't we make him look a fool for this play? Like, but then he just cleans up and kills 3 and flips the point. And then Guangzhou Gangsters is like, okay, well, we really only have the Transcendence, so we kind of have to make the most out of that. And I mean, and then they do with that, and then the blade. It's all sorts of like spiral in their favor, but Amnesia just end up kind of playing that mistake punishy game just a little bit better there.
Yeah, but only very slightly. It was like 99 to 99 on the last map, back and forth the whole way. But if you're Guangzhou Gangsters here, as we're heading into a hybrid map type, you probably want to pick something a little bit more open, a little bit more pokey here. I'm trying to remember what all the maps are. I know Preseason is one of them, which can favor the poke with all those high grounds, especially on second point, I believe. But if you're the Guangzhou Gangsters here, what do you think you want to run?
I think Preseason is probably the best option. I don't think you want to go to King's Row. I think we throw Scrim's Row completely off the table. I think you'd be a fool to pick that one. I think Preseason, out of the hybrid maps in the pool, is easily the most dive-favored one, especially on that first and second point there, where you can get more value out of the Winston comps. You can really have your Genji go in and follow up. You can continue to have Cam hit some of these big Dragon Blades and try and play around that. And you won't have to worry quite so much about this Reinhardt Brawl comp. You can try and force Amnesia to maybe mirror and see how good they are at it. Like, you know, you try your hand at it, or force them onto like maybe some sort of like counter dive thing where they want to play like a Junker Queen or, God forbid, a Roadhog. But I think Preseason is probably going to be the best option. It looks like Blizzard World is actually what they're going to pick. I think Blizzard World might be a good middle ground here. Probably, you know, second best. But the first point is still going to be very brawl heavy, so that kind of scares me.
Yeah, the third point can also be really brawl heavy, especially with those closed-in corridors and not a lot of high ground to take advantage of. But hey, maybe Guangzhou is just like, we're more comfortable on this map. We have a couple of tricks up our sleeve that we want to run. And honestly, on defense especially, it can be really strong for poke. Maybe they want to throw in like a Sigma and keep that Sojourn in and really just kind of hit, Amnesia before they can even rotate to point.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what Guangzhou Gangsters are cooking. They're definitely in the kitchen right now. They got the chef's hats on. They're, you know, I don't know if they're following a recipe or if they're just throwing some gruel into a pot, stirring it, and see what happens. But if what they're showing right now is anything to be trusted, it looks like a little bit of a Brig Zen backline with a ball comp.
Yeah, it was just kind of an interesting look, especially since both teams are running ball here. I mean, we've been, like, with the latest patch notes, we kind of all suspected that Wrecking Ball was going to be a lot more meta, but we didn't see a whole lot of it map one. We did see a little bit. So watching both of these teams run kind of a ball mirror into each other is going to be very, very interesting here.
I would also be curious to see if either team swaps to, like, a counter ball comp, because there was kind of that initial spike once the patch came out that, like, everyone was like, you know, running for the hills, crying from the rooftops. Ball is meta now. Ball is going to be meta. But then we started seeing more Rhine Rush, and then we started seeing like Junker Queen and other various forms of counter ball comps coming out, and it ended up being really like wide open. But in a ball mirror, we'll see. This is definitely not what I was expecting for Blizzard World, but it is what we are going to be getting. So we'll see who ends up getting the better of it. Cam has also moved over to the tank position, by the way, and North is now in DPS in for DPS on Guangzhou Gangsters.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see how Cam plays this Wrecking Ball. Maybe they sub them in just because they're stronger Wrecking Ball player here. Not a lot of motion being made. Everybody's running like really scrambly sort of comps here, just looking for picks without a lot of kind of coordination right now from the looks of it.
There was a little bit there. I mean, you had Capital and Star Platinum kind of rolling deep together, trying to find someone straggling in the back line, but one of the things that's really difficult about a ball mirror is it's like everyone's slippery. Who do you dive? Like, who is there? You do end up getting a nice pick off there from Honey Bunny onto Capital there. That's going to help stave off some of the pressure. Not going to be as much follow-up as Star Platinum decides to go in for a slam, and it looks like he's probably going to go ahead and wait till he has a little bit more backup to try and make anything out of that.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, if you're Amnesia, you're looking for dive targets with Honey Bunny and Slimeole, but if they're playing smart, they're playing together, and it looks like Honey Bunny's been putting in an absolute ton of damage, so diving them is not necessarily gonna be an easy task either.
And there it is. They're actually swapping over to the Rhine Rush like they did before, but instead of the Mei, they're opting for the Sombra, which is another variation of, like I said, that kind of counter ball comp. If you just play the Rhine Rush Death Ball, you can get the better of a ball composition here. And the Sombra is explicitly just going to be to grief Cam and make him regret ever picking the Hammond.
Yeah, but that thing is you can only hack either Cam or North. You can't hack both. And hack lasts so much less time now than it did during Overwatch 1 that even though it's going to be a little bit of a sticking point, it shouldn't put too much of a damper on him.
Now, speaking of sticking points, you're going to want to watch out here for North with the Pulse Bomb. I'm going to go ahead and catch that right onto Star Platinum's Trapezius there. Doesn't actually find the kill, a little too much HP, but Haruhiro is there to help clean up here. A tick already given up for Amnesia, but Guangzhou Gangsters still look pretty strong here, finally cleaning up the Reinhardt and the Lucio. And a Sombra overstaying her welcome just a little bit there, and Guangzhou Gangsters do hold strong.
Yep, and you mentioned role swaps. We see Haruhiro, who is playing support the first map, switch back over to his traditional role of DPS here. Coming up on a high noon here, and even though Guangzhou Gangsters have given up a tick, they've honestly been looking in firm control at this point. They used that tick as a resource to their advantage really well. They allowed Amnesia to just sort of get worn down over time, and they're coming up on a bunch of ults here.
Yeah, but I want to keep an eye mostly on Honey Bunny here, because you see Speedy is getting very, very close to that EMP, and if that's the ult that they decide they want to use, goodbye Capital. There was a minefield there. You got to watch out for those. If on their next engagement they do decide that EMP is going to be their tool, which looks like it's going to have to be. They don't really have much else save for the sound barrier. You want to make sure that you have that Transcendence up and ready to keep everybody that gets hit with that EMP alive and well, and also to make sure that you don't just get straight up deleted, because being a Zenyatta into an EMP is the very definition of torture.
Yeah, and you know that Speedy is going to be absolutely going on a hunt for Honey Bunny at this point. If you don't catch the Zen in that EMP, it could easily just be a one fight for Guangzhou as they'd be able to sustain through that big ultimate.
Ooh, the slam comes out though, and Saga actually does get cleaned up, and they can't finish off Cam despite the hack there from Speedy, and that might actually be a little bit of a mistake. I'm not sure where Speedy's translocator is right now, but now that they know his position and Rally gonna come out from Slimeole, they're just gonna go ahead and go in. Will Speedy actually be able to get into a good position to use that EMP? They've already lost Star Platinum. They're forced to invest the sound barrier, and they're under 10 seconds here. Honey Bunny does fall though, with the Transcendence though, so despite all of this adversity, Amnesia, they still have a little bit of hope here. They need to get on the point. They don't have a whole lot of health bars to do it though, and North gonna clean up Speedy, and that's going to be just about it. Guangzhou Gangsters gonna hold at 51.5%.
That was really great defense by Guangzhou. Like, absolutely playing to their advantage throughout the entire thing, not letting Amnesia get the setup that they wanted, getting early picks and not letting them fight as a full 5 stack. Just absolutely clean by Guangzhou. Do want to give a shout out to Luca on Amnesia. Got a really clutch pick on Honey Bunny on the Zen, who still had ultimate up at that point. Unfortunately, Amnesia was just not able to capitalize, but Guangzhou looking super, super good on that ball comp, and Amnesia just not really being able to find the answer here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams like to swap over onto the Sombra when they know that a Wrecking Ball comp is being a pest, but it's like, if that's not something that you're often scrimming, and if that's not a comp that you're really good on, if that's not a hero that you really specialize in, then it's kind of one of those situations where you're really playing into the ball's hand, you know? You're not really like playing your team's game, you're being forced to play their game. You have to play reactive. You have to try and figure out where the ball is going and grief him, or you have to, like, you know, try and plan your EMPs out accordingly to make sure that the ball is getting minimum value here. And Amnesia gonna go ahead and swap over back onto the Mei to try and go a little bit back to what they know, what they're a little bit more practiced on, it would seem.
Yeah, which is honestly a smart decision. I mean, like we mentioned earlier, Guangzhou has basically every member of their team returning from last season where they lost in the semifinals to the eventual champions, and then the season before that when they were when they were the champions, still having a lot of the same players here. So they're going to be very coordinated and very practiced. We see Guangzhou is running out on more of a rush comp. They've got that Junker Queen, which could be good into this Amnesia sort of brawly line here, but it'll be interesting to see how they choose to approach this.
Well, it looks like North is not going to choose to approach this, and instead going to choose to get a little bit of brain freeze there from Speedy. So Guangzhou Gangsters will take a second, and then we'll see how they choose to approach this.
Yeah, they may be heading back into spawn for a little bit of a swap here. Yeah, it looks like they're going over to more of a poke comp. Cam switching over to the Sigma off of that Junker Queen here. No ults have come into the fight yet. That was kind of a fast early pick here by Speedy, but approaching this fight, we'll see kind of how they decide to take this now that they're running a little bit more spammy.
Yeah, this is a couple snipers short of a Circuit Royale comp, but the Sigma can be really strong here on Blizzard World, so if they're able to get a little bit of damage with those orbs here, maybe get a big Rabbinic Flux, they can probably start making some headway. Killing Speedy, though, and removing that Maywall threat is a huge way to do it, and they do take out Capital as well, so Amnesia, without a DPS in the world, and Luca gonna fall as well, so Guangzhou Gangsters are already finding way more than they ever could have asked for in this fight, and they're gonna start taking up that percentage, and might even be able to cap unless someone from Guangzhou Gangsters, or sorry, unless someone from Amnesia is able to get the touch, and it looks like Speedy is gonna be back on the Tracer, and there's your touch, and it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely dominant play there by the Guangzhou Gangsters, and you've really got to appreciate just how patient they played. They rolled out on one comp, kind of got picked, saw what the enemy was running, and decided, you know what, no, we got to back up, we got to rethink our approach here, and they did it, honestly, flawlessly. Really, really solid play here from Cam on the tank, too. I know you mentioned earlier that they had just swapped over from a different role, but they're looking so good here on the Wrecking Ball and on the Sigma. Just absolutely stellar play coming out there.
Yeah, all of the role swaps on Guangzhou Gangsters were very, very effective. There is nothing more gangster than being a flexible Overwatch player, and they know it, and they are showing it. And they had a game plan on Blizzard World. We were kind of talking about, like, you know, how, you know, Paricio playing that Winston dive, because that's what we saw on Lijiang Tower, because, you know, we have the curse of putting all our stock into what we see in the first map and not realizing that sometimes these teams, they scrim on certain maps, they practice certain comps, and they have a couple aces up their sleeves, and Guangzhou Gangsters, they had one. They had one for sure.
Yeah, so honestly looking so good that map. Going into map 3 here, it will be an escort map. Amnesia will get the map pick here, and if you're Amnesia, I suppose you want to go something more brawly. I don't quite remember what the maps available for this stage are.
It should be escort next, and so, you know, King's Row and that other brawl off the table, not a factor. We've rushed ourselves right past that, so that threat's no longer there. But yeah, I'd also have to consult the map pool and see what they do end up picking here as far as escort.
So we've got Root, Shambali, and Watchpoint Gibraltar are the options.
Oh no!
Yeah, if you're Amnesia, that's kind of a rough map pool for escort. None of those are particularly brawly.
I mean, you can get like you can maybe brawl and do like I think Route 66 might be the best option, but
Yeah.
like even that, you know, a lot of ball and a lot of Winston on there. Don't go to Gibraltar. If you pick Gibraltar, you're throwing. You don't do that one.
I think back Season 2 Tranquility, Havoc was the last team. I mean, that was GOAT's meta completely, but they were the team that just stuck to their brawl game on even Gibraltar and were able to do it successfully, but that was years ago now. So.
We could also see some player swaps come in from Amnesia and they have them pick one of these maps here. Like maybe they put in a Greninja who might be a little more practiced on some of the dive heroes. Maybe that's why they've been choosing to run Star Platinum on these particular maps, is because of the Rhine, being more of like a Rhine and Brawl specialist there. That is always an option. When some of these teams have like this deep of a roster, you do kind of have to consider that as a possibility. If we stick to who we currently have at this dance here, though, don't pick Gibraltar.
Yeah. And I want to say, as far as deep rosters go, Guangzhou definitely has the advantage here. They have a full, like, 10-person roster, whereas I believe Amnesia only has 6. And I think Amnesia actually has a ringer in today. I don't remember Capital actually being rostered for them, so they're running a slightly different team than they normally would during the season, so that's probably making it a little bit more rough for them as well.
That is actually true. I don't see Capital over here on the team sheet. Likely in place of Corviknight, so I can't make any Tinkaton jokes considering we have the Reinhardt comp. So more of my Pokemon references just being taken right out from under me. This is the worst day ever.
This is what you get for prepping them.
is the last time I ever prepped material for my for a cast. That'll never work out for me again. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, but Capital has honestly been putting in work. I mean, he's normally a support player, coming in here as a DPS player. He was the Transcendence tier MVP last season on support. But he's honestly been playing pretty well on DPS as well. Certainly has been close kind of across the board between Amnesia and Guangzhou. So we didn't even realize he wasn't a rostered player until just now. So.
And he's been on the Cassidy a lot, and I think that's actually been very, very effective overall. Like, Cassidy is one of those heroes where, you know, you don't have to think too much on DPS, you just shoot. And if you already play, like, a lot of Ana, if you already play a lot of Baptiste, you know, it kind of comes naturally. And especially with his magnetic grenade and just, like, his place in the meta currently, he's actually really, really strong. So, you know, if you have to make a role swap like that off of support and onto a DPS, Cassidy's your guy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely has been doing a good job with it. So hopefully we figure out what map we're going to here in the next few seconds. But anybody else that stuck out to you so far, CB?
I mean, I gotta give the nod to Haruhiro on the other side, also playing the Cassidy, because there's been a lot of really clean headshots coming through, a lot of clutch picks, and oh no!
Oh, we casters cursed. We said anything but Gibraltar, and here we are going to Gibraltar.
Okay, please tell me there's a tank swap coming out for Amnesia, because either Star Platinum has like this godly monkey that we haven't gotten to see because they just refuse to play that comp, or we're trying to play Brawl on the most dive high ground favored map of all time. It's a little bit of an interesting pick here. I want to know what Amnesia is going for here, because I know these teams, like, these are all smart players. They do this a lot. They scrim, they practice, they know what they're doing, but I want to know what they're doing now. And it does look like, yeah, Star Platinum is going to be coming out here on the Winton.
Yes, Winton Overwatch. We do see that.
Wait,
Huh?
hold on, guys. It's Winton Wednesday.
Oh my god.
I almost forgot to celebrate. Okay, sorry, you can continue.
Well, it's a good thing that you remembered, or else this would have been very sad. But we are seeing a Winton v Winton battle here. Haruhiro is over on the Genji now. We mentioned earlier that they were mostly playing Cass, but it looks like Guangzhou is going for a full sort of traditional dive comp. Amnesia is rolling out on a Sombra, maybe expecting to see the Wrecking Ball that they saw earlier, but Capital looks like he's going to get, potentially get his supports into position here and then swap.
Potentially, or it could be a way to try and take the high ground approach here, but most likely just the supports here, because yeah, you already have the dive as an option here. You see Star Platinum going for a jump here, try and take this high ground. Gonna concede it just a little bit here and maybe try and go for a backliner as well, as we have a little bit of a Tracer 1v1 happening in the backline here between Capital and North. We'll see if anyone gets the better of that, or if they choose to have a little bit of an armistice for now.
Yeah, it's kind of fun watching Tracer battles. Always that sort of mind game of who's used their blinks, who still has their recall, and things like that. Amnesia and Guangzhou are almost mirroring, other than Amnesia being over on the Sombra that you mentioned earlier and Guangzhou being on the Genji. I feel like Genji might have a little bit more damage output and pick potential here, but with the Sombra hack ability, that could be really big if you're able to play a really good coordinated dive.
I don't feel like Amnesia is really committing to much of a dive here, but they do have the cart push all the way to that car wash position, which might force Guangzhou Gangsters off of the high ground though, but Haruhiro gonna go ahead and force Capital off of the map, send you right back to the spawn there. And again, like, Amnesia, they're kind of shaky here. They're not really committing onto a single dive target or committing to like an objective here, and they've lost Speedy as well, so they can't really commit onto much of anything without their DPS.
Yeah, it's definitely been sort of a tale of two teams for Amnesia. We've seen them be ridiculously coordinated on their Brawl comps, but here on Dive, they just sort of don't look as coordinated. That said, Star Platinum gets a massive pick on Haruhiro here, which could set up Amnesia for a push.
Yeah, the Primal Rage gonna go ahead and come out here from Cam. Slime'll actually gonna fall though. Speedy and Star Platinum were there together to help take down that Brig. So a couple players on Guangzhou Gangsters are starting to fall here. I think you still have Honey Bunny on the field here, lurking on one of the high grounds with that nano boost, but Cam is already going to fall. Didn't have LOS on the tank at that point in time, and the cart has now pushed past the car wash area. So Guangzhou Gangsters are giving up a lot more ground than they would like to here, and Amnesia are finally starting to roll.
Yeah, this last point of point A can be a pretty good kill box, though, if you're a dive comp. You've got that high ground you can control, but it looks like Amnesia is doing a really good job of taking control of that away from them.
Nano Boost gonna come out, goes on to Cam here. No one is touching the cart, though, and that is going to be a pretty easy back cap there for Amnesia. Don't say the letter number in the chat, but we all know what that... we all know what that was. Amnesia do just roll the cart in for free, and Guangzhou Gangsters see Cam just kind of tucking his tail between his legs. Winston doesn't have a tail, but still, and just kind of walking away to try and not die on the cart, not stagger too much. Rally gonna come out from Slimemold here, so it looks like Guangzhou Gangsters do actually want to fight this just a little bit. Maybe force Star Platinum to invest this Primal Rage, but we'll have to see if they feel the need to. They can always just retreat here because they do have the spawn advantage.
But that said, that is a really good play by Guangzhou as well. Because they didn't lose any of their players in the last cap, they were able to pop their Briggled and really just hold them there. And it looks like we have a pause coming out. I wonder whether that's a DC or whether somebody is calling for it. I was going to say for thanks. I was going to say for Guangzhou, it's actually been, like, this isn't a bad position for them to be in. Even though Amnesia has the spawn advantage, that first point right after the doors has so many sort of tight corridors that Amnesia are going to need to go through if they even just want to touch cart. So it's going to be a really kind of good defensive advantage for Guangzhou here.
Yeah, once the cart gets through that first little door there and the door actually closes, it's going to be far more beneficial for them to just try and hold a high ground, like go a little bit further behind them and wait for Amnesia to try and force themselves through one of those chokes. But they're not even really letting it go that far. They're just kind of going for the spawn hold here where, you know, Amnesia can just play in their spawn room, get all the healing from there, have their healers just heal Star Platinum all the way back up. Luca is getting close to that nano boost here. Honey Bunny is miles ahead, but Luca's going to be able to make up that difference. The Primal Rage finally is going to come out from Star Platinum to try and force some of the members of Guangzhou Gangsters back, and they don't have this high ground to play from. A good sleep there, though, onto Honey Bunny to prevent that death there, that angry monkey. In Guangzhou Gangsters, they do have a lot of ults of their own, but Cam gets slept and finished off, and it looks like that might be Amnesia getting the cart rolling yet again.
Yeah, that was a really good play by Amnesia, and I just want to also just point out, I feel like Speedy's entire role this game so far has been to just counter Cam. He's on Ball, he's on Sombra, he's on Winston, he's on Reaper, just doing an absolute job of keeping Cam from making the plays that he wants to.
Another early fight being taken here from Guangzhou Gangsters, and they do have ults to do it, but Dueling Rallies comes out. Saga's going to go ahead and finish off North. Honey Bunny, though, cleans up Capital. The Primal Rage forced out from Cam. We'll see if Guangzhou Gangsters are able to find any more pickoffs here, because the spawn advantage is still firmly in favor of Amnesia. They just have to get, right through that other side of the door. They take out Haru Hero with that Death Blossom. Sleep Dart comes out onto Slimemold, but Slimemold going to wake right back up, throw the mace around, catch a little bit of enemy Brigitte there, but too much pressure from Capital to help back up on their team. Stick goes out onto Cam, but very healthy tank just going to heal that right back up, and we're still kind of at a stalemate here. The cart hasn't really pushed all that much farther. Neither team is really controlling the high ground effectively currently, and we're just kind of throwing ults back and forth and seeing what we get out of it. Here comes a Dragon Blade from Haru Hero, who's going to get whip shot and slept and anti-nated and likely cleaned up there from Star Platinum, so there goes that ultimate ability, and we're still just kind of at a stalemate. Guangzhou Gangsters forced to disengage, but Star Platinum does not want to let that one happen. Got a Primal Rage of his own yet again. We'll see if he ends up popping it. North gonna go ahead and try and go for the peel just a little bit here. Got the Death Blossom, gonna go in. A Nano Boost does come out from Luca onto Speedy as well, and he's in the backline wreaking havoc, but everybody is focused on Speedy right now. They haven't been able to clean him up. They do finally do so, but the Primal Rage does come out from Star Platinum, and now once again, Angry Monkey slamming everyone up against the wall. That is a nice 2K. The support line for Guangzhou Gangsters is gone, and that should be the end of the fight finally for Amnesia.
That was, going back, I guess, to the beginning of the fight. Absolutely massive sleep by Luca onto Haru Hero with the blade. That honestly could have been an absolute game winner for Guangzhou, but Luca just made an absolutely massive play there. We do see that Guangzhou has swapped over from the Tracer onto a Reaper, probably to contest Star Platinum, who's been looking really strong on this Winston so far, as Amnesia is looking to camp point too.
They might just get away with it too. North is there, does end up falling there as soon as the Wraith form expires. Cam is there with essentially no HP and just a lonely grandma up on the high ground to try and keep him alive, but the healing gets cut off, and the grandma is now going to get staggered by Amnesia. Sorry, Honey Bunny, that's just kind of what happens when your team leaves you for dead there.
Yeah, kind of an unfortunate stagger there for Honey Bunny. Amnesia is already around in the first corner looking for the second as Honey Bunny is still respawning. We see that Guangzhou has swapped from the Genji over to a Bastion, which is a pretty common swap, I feel like, to make on these third points here for defense, as you can just put out absolutely wicked amounts of damage here. Amnesia is coming up on the Nano, and if they use that on their Winston, they could potentially get Primal Rage up very quickly.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you thought that Speedy's entire purpose was to try and grief Cam and, you know, counter whatever he's doing, but it looks like Haruhiro is taking that role on the other side here, because there is not a tank in the game that is fun to play when there is a Bastion on the field. Even if you're nano boosted, which Star Platinum is, and he does also have the Primal Rage, he might actually go in and try and finish off Haruhiro, but the distance is there. You can't get any more of the cleave, and Haruhiro just going to make him fear for his life so much that all it really takes is for North to go in with these Hellfire shotguns and clean up just a little bit. And once again, Guangzhou Gangsters have pushed up all the way to Amnesia's spawn.
And Guangzhou Gangsters are coming up on all 5 of their ultimates now. They have any sort of combination of those that they want to use with only 30 seconds left in the fight. Amnesia does have that Monkey ult up, which could be helpful, but Haruhiro, again, on Bastion, could just mow through that pretty quickly as well.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the initiation there, knowing he has that Primal Rage, and he's going to go ahead and pop it here, and that's going to throw just about everyone from Amnesia into shambles. Opposing Primal Rage from Star Platinum does come out, but all of the focus fire is on him right now, and a lot of that focus fire is fire from a Bastion, which is going to just melt the health bar, and there's not a whole lot left for the rest of Guangzhou Gangsters, but they do eat it up regardless, and that's where the cart is going to stop. For now, a win condition for Amnesia, and a bar being set for Guangzhou Gangsters.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're Guangzhou Gangsters, you're probably feeling pretty happy with this position. With this being a dive-oriented map and dive being the comp that you've been sort of defaulting to, it's honestly looking like a pretty good point A and B. And they didn't get a whole lot of push on point C. I feel like that third point in push C could be a little bit more brawly and playing to Amnesia's favor. But with only rounding the first corner here, Guangzhou's in a pretty good position, assuming that they can continue pushing the cart on their dive like they have been.
Yeah, it did get a little bit kind of too scrappy during that point B section, where it was just like, again, neither team was really controlling the high ground, just everyone trying to fight on cart and invest ultimates. And I think that's where Amnesia got a little bit more of an advantage, because, you know, that's kind of like what you do in a brawl comp, you know? Like, and if you're playing this dive the way that you would play a brawl comp, then, you know, Amnesia, they're actually going to be able to get their foot in the door just a little bit. So from Guangzhou Gangsters, what I want to see on this attack is I want to see them be as decisive with their dives as they have been on past maps, but also clean with it, not make any mistakes that Amnesia can exploit.
Definitely. We've seen Amnesia being just very, very coordinated when they are all in a group together. If Guangzhou are able to sort of exploit that and turn it into sort of a scrambly divey comp, then they can definitely pull out the advantage here. Both teams are running a dive again, although it looks like Capital is over on the Sojourn as opposed to the Reaper from earlier. Guangzhou's running out on the exact same comp that they started the map with last time.
I'm curious as to what the Mercy... Actually, no, I'm not curious. I just figured it out in real time. The Mercy is there to pocket the Sojourn and help control the high ground and prevent the team from diving on top of them, but Guangzhou Gangsters, they don't care. They're just going to go ahead and jump right on top of anybody and everybody, but North gets kind of caught out there a little bit. The rest of Guangzhou Gangsters fell back to the cart, and North didn't get the memo, got lost in the mail, and he ends up getting sent back to spawn. A Mercy pocketed Sojourn on a high ground is definitely not something that you want to take lightly, and Cam is going to take it all the way back to spawn, where he can go ahead and join North and the rest of his team very shortly.
Definitely. Even with a very slight, like, Sojourn and Mercy nerf, Sojourn is still extremely strong, especially when pocketed. So Capital putting in absolutely a ton of work there, already up to 50% to their ult. North is the closest for the Guangzhou Gangsters to getting ult with that pulse bomb being up, and is able to push the cart here under the bridge.
Yeah, that's likely going to force someone from Amnesia to have to come and deal with him, because you don't want to let this Tracer back cap all the way here. I think Luca and Saga might be a little bit aware of it, yeah, and they do, in fact, send Capital back there to try and deal with that, but that's enough to dislodge all of the members of Amnesia and set the dive up. The cart is now past this car wash, and Guangzhou Gangsters are starting to take a little bit of headway here. Capital, though, looking to inflict some capital punishment onto North once again, thanks to that Mercy pocket. Dive gonna come out from Star Platinum, gonna go ahead and split the rest of Guangzhou Gangsters up. The cart is actually almost pushed all the way up there. They do take out Slimole and do end up finishing off Cam with that overclock, and I think enough picks have come out for Amnesia that Guangzhou Gangsters will have to reset. The res coming out does ensure that they are back at full strength, and a single lonely Tracer is not going to be able to make a difference in that regard.
Yeah, really, really solid hold from Amnesia, especially Capital popping that ult, able to get a lot of picks off, Saga popping their ult, able to just really sustain the team through that. But Guangzhou didn't use a single ult that fight, and I don't think they've used a single ult this game. They're coming up on all 5 of theirs now, and if they're able to use those in a coordinated fashion, this should be a pretty easy point take for them.
Capital gets really, really low there off the dive there from Cam, and the Primal Rage also going to go ahead and fall, but Capital once again find North. North must have a magnet in his head, because that rail shot is finding it every single time. Capital is heads up for these Tracer kills, and North can't really get a whole lot done if he's constantly being clipped like that. I do say, as I say that though, Haruhiro claps back, takes out a Tracer and a Mercy. Gonna go ahead and go with a little bit of a one-up there on that Sojourn 1v1. A nanoed Rally, the old-fashioned raid boss, gonna come out here onto Slimole, but the Primal Rage from Star Platinum is gonna make sure it gets minimal value, though Slimole still does finish off Capital with the whip shot, and it looks like it's going to be just a couple staggers coming out here for Amnesia to try and stave off the pressure. Guangzhou Gangsters should be able to cap this one up, but they do have to finish off Saga. The nade comes out from Honey Bunny, but it splashes a little bit too short to actually be effective here. So now the staggers from Amnesia can start to mount up a little bit more, and they might actually be able to hold here. Pulse Bomb comes out from North. He really wants to finish off Star Platinum here. He might be able to. Star Platinum still very low, and yes, they do finally finish that off. Speedy forced to recall there, but there's still this Tracer and this Ana that you have to deal with in order to cap, and you're starting to run out of time. You can't let this one spiral out of control. Someone please kill Speedy. Finally, he does go down, and the cart does get capped. Guangzhou Gangsters with 3 minutes and 8 seconds of the time bank.
Holy smokes, the staggers. Amnesia did a really good job of playing that slow, having one man on cart, even getting a couple of picks to the point where it looked like Guangzhou may not cap it there. Speedy and I believe Saga went over to the Lucio momentarily as well, just honestly looking really, really good there. 3 minutes now to push it to point B. Guangzhou used every single one of their ults in that fight, but an early pick on a Capital could be the opening that they need.
Absolutely. You have to make sure to watch out for Saga to not be able to get that res there. Try and corpse camp there just a little bit to prevent it, and Saga does eventually go down thanks to Cam there. So a late pick off onto the Mercy actually might be enough for Guangzhou Gangsters to get the cap here, and the cart didn't go very far past this doorway, so you do want to make sure, if you're Amnesia, that you don't let them get this point B cap, because that might be just about all but done if you let them get that far.
Yeah, and we see that they're coming up on a nano overclock, which could be really huge.
They let them get that far.
Oh no. That is unfortunate for Amnesia. Just 1/2 of a second too late, and Guangzhou is able to get the cap off here. Honestly though, like really, really good play. I'm hearing a lot of music. I don't know if that's on my end. Honestly though, really, really good play by Guangzhou there. They don't have very far to push it here, and although Amnesia is coming up on a good number of ults here.
Yeah, this last fight, if Amnesia is able to get a really effective touch here, they have to make sure whoever does get the touch doesn't get clipped on the Ingress there. They're going to go ahead and invest the nano boost to get Star Platinum in the door, but a nano overclock onto Haruhiro is going to get a 3K. He's going insane there with this Sojourn, saying, anything you can do, Capital, I can do better. And Guangzhou Gangsters go up 2-1 in this series.
Absolutely massive overclock there by Haruhiro. Definitely just absolutely putting Guangzhou into the position that they needed to push that point in the rest of the way. Really solid play all around, and I'm guessing this is the Haruhiro play from the very end that we're going to see again. But Amnesia looked like they struggled a little bit on the dive comp, which is sort of what we expected. They did do better than like I had sort of originally thought. Honestly, the Winston comp looked really good. They were able to get a lot of good checks and push it a decent way, but Guangzhou just looks very clean and practiced on that comp. It looks like that's their comfort zone. So if you
I think Beth might have just disconnected there. We're gonna go ahead and work on getting her back here really quickly. I think what she was trying to say here though was just that so sometimes I can still hear her voice. I'm not sure what's
I think my internet died, but keep going.
Okay, all right, yeah. What I'm sure she was trying to say was that Guangzhou Gangsters, they do look a lot more well practiced on that dive comp. Personally, though, I kind of would like to see them on the defense be a little bit more decisive, kind of like how they were on the attack, where they were picking their targets, they were going in, they were making good use of their ultimates, rotating them out effectively. Whereas, you know, like I said, on the defense there, they were playing dive like it was brawl, and I think both teams do need to be a little bit more aware of the cart's progress here, because we did see a couple of back caps, a couple of unfortunate C9s. You can't have Amnesia when it comes to where the cart is. You can't forget about the point there. Have to make sure that you're always on the ball with that. So as we go for our map pick here, we'll have to, or our next map here, it is going to be Amnesia's map pick, and we'll see what they do want to go to after a little bit of a quick halftime break.
Yep, so going into halftime here, Guangzhou Gangsters are up 2-1 over Amnesia, moving into a push map next. Reminder, this is the finals of the preseason, so instead of being 1st to 3, it is 1st to 4. So Amnesia is still very much in it here when we return in about 10 minutes. everyone, and welcome back to this preseason Season 10 Transcendence tier matchup between Guangzhou Gangsters and Amnesia. At the end of the half, Guangzhou Gangsters are up 2-1 over Amnesia, and what has honestly been a very close barn burner of a match so far. I'm BethCon2 on Analyst, CB on Play-by-Play. But CB, what are you looking forward to here as we move into our push map?
Well, it looks like, I mean, if production is to be believed, that our push map is going to be Esperanza. So, I mean, I think out of all of them, it's probably the one that, once again, maybe favors a little bit more of that brawl style a little bit more, especially kind of towards the center here, and once it gets a little bit closer to the enemy spawns there. So I think that's probably Amnesia's map pick, either because that's what they want to run, or just because it's their favorite push map. There's only 3 of them, and Coliseo's bad, so it's 50-50 between the other 2, and most people pick Esperanza. But I'm looking to see them get the better of this this brawl mirror and try and hopefully if they can force it. On the side of Guangzhou Gangsters, I'm looking to see what they want to play into it. I kind of don't want them to take the mirror. I don't want them to take the bait. I want to see if they go with something a little bit more Wrecking Ball favored, and if they end up being able to take the win based off of that sort of comp and taking things in that direction.
Definitely. We saw in Lijiang Tower when Guangzhou Gangsters tried to take the Brawl v Brawl matchup against Amnesia, that Amnesia was just able to kind of walk over them with Star Platinum on that tank role, who's been looking very, very clean tonight. But I agree with you here. I think that Guangzhou Gangsters are going to want to sort of avoid playing into Amnesia's strengths and really focus on playing something divey. But assuming that's what they do, if you're Amnesia here, like it's do or die time. What do you think that they're going to be looking to do here on this Brawl comp?
Well, I mean, one thing we can start off with is no longer living up to our namesake, Amnesia. They've a couple times forgotten where the payload is and what they can do about it, like they can test it. So I don't want to see any C9s coming out from Amnesia. It looks like Guangzhou Gangsters are going to come out here with that Rhine mirror here, though. So Amnesia might be looking to take an early advantage here.
Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting late swap from Guangzhou there. It looked like they were going to roll out on the Brawl comp, but instead they decided to go for basically almost a mirror, other than Capital being on Cassidy, whereas North is on the Tracer here.
Yeah, so you're going to try and look for North to be a little bit more disruptive and be a little bit more annoying towards the Baptiste and the Lucio here in the backline, whereas Capital is just going to be trying to put in a lot of shield pressure and hopefully get a nice head click in there. But North can't really do that job of being effectively annoying with an icicle sticking out of his skull there. Thank you very much, Speedy. And it looks like Guangzhou Gangsters, they're actually kind of getting the better of this fight despite losing their Tracer very early on in that fight. They do take out the Reinhardt, but the bot is being pushed in favor of Amnesia. They need to close out this fight in order to be able to get some real progress here going. Early Shatter, though, comes out from Cam, and that is a huge one. And Slimehole there with the boop to push everyone right into that hammer swing, and that's going to be a quick and early fight win for Guangzhou Gangsters.
Yeah, that was a massive shatter that got built up super fast by Cam. We see Star Platinum on the other end, although they died early in the fight, being only at 50%. But yeah, Slimehole with that boop to put them into Cam's range, so he was just able to swing on him. Just absolutely fantastic play there. A couple of ults coming online, or one ult coming online for Amnesia will be the window here, though.
Yeah, and they're going to be forced to invest if the Fire Strike comes out. In fact, both of the Fire Strikes come out, but they don't find much of anything, and the bot is still pushing just a little bit further on. It looks like they are going to actually concede control of the bot temporarily here and try and take the fight underneath this archway here. Early Ice Block has been forced out, as has the Immortality Field. Saga going to go ahead and take out Slimehole there. That Immortality Field is still being a pest, being a nuisance that Star Platinum just can't quite swat, and I think he spent a little bit too much time going for that, and not enough time worrying about Haruhiro with the Blizzard and some Icicles, and North with a little bit of cleanup there for Guangzhou Gangsters to keep this cart rolling.
Yeah, absolutely, like, such a smart play from Haruhiro there. Really good wall to split off Star Platinum from the rest of his team. Just really set Guangzhou Gangsters up to, like, just be able to take as much space as they wanted from Amnesia here. Amnesia, though, hasn't used anything other than that window yet, so they are coming up on 4 ultimates, including the Shatter from Star Platinum and the Freeze from Speedy coming online pretty soon here. Guangzhou has a couple of their own to answer with, including a beat from Slimehole coming online, which could be massive. Slimehole has been putting in absolute work on the main support role tonight, so keep an eye on them. Hopefully they can get that timing off.
Amnesia gonna go for a little bit of a flank play here, and they do need to start investing some of these ultimates because Guangzhou Gangsters have already capped that checkpoint, and that is going to be huge for them going forward with those forward spawns and all. And it looks like Amnesia, they're actually kind of forced to disengage here. The Shatter comes out from Cam to go ahead and stop the charge there from Star Platinum, but the sound barrier is going to come out from both sides, keep everyone alive and well in the fight. But Amnesia going to go ahead and invest that window, and a couple of picks going to go ahead and fall as a result of that, and Guangzhou Gangsters might have finally been stopped in their tracks.
Yeah, really good play by Amnesia there, although they had to use basically every single one of their ultimates to get the flip. The map flip may not have worked out totally in their favor, though. The Guangzhou Gangsters just sort of turned around and were like, okay, you want to get set up behind us? Fine, we'll keep pushing the bot then, and got a little bit more space than they may have otherwise. But Amnesia winning the fight ultimately. Both teams really not with any ults in their pocket. Haruhiro getting closest on that May ult, looking for a lot of poke here on Star Platinum, and a great wall coming out once again.
Yeah, we look back like 2 fights in the past, and we remember when Haruhiro used that Blizzard to help clean everything up, and he's going to be coming up on that ultimate here almost immediately. Both Reinhardts are now out of the fight, so no shields to stop the icy cold winds to come out from Guangzhou Gangsters, and they do end up cleaning up this fight. Just one lonely cowboy. It does get lonely out here on the trail. Oh, actually, a Deadeye there from North kind of styled on him just a little bit here, and the cavalry has come in, no longer alone on the trail. Gonna go ahead and pick off Haruhiro there. Slimehole, very low, gonna fall, and Capital almost single-handedly does turn the fight and keep this spot going in favor of Amnesia.
Yeah, that was like, what, a 3-on-1 or a 4-on-1, and Capital was just able to get the picks that he needed in order to allow Amnesia to continue pushing this. That said, it does look like Guangzhou are coming up with a couple of quick respawns here and not letting Amnesia get as much cart push as they would probably have wanted.
Yeah, and now that advantage of having that Blizzard is now off the field, as is Star Platinum, though. Got a little bit greedy there with that that charge there, and does end up getting punished by North and the rest of the Guangzhou Gangsters there. Capital, though, once again, has been on fire with some of these picks here, but gets cleaned up with that window fire strike. One of the things that, the reason that we see a lot of these Rhyme Brawl comps is that buff to the fire strike has made the breakpoint of that window fire strike combo essentially a one-shot every time. It is a lot of value, and you gotta watch out for that if you're Capital.
Yeah, and Guangzhou has been doing a really great job of taking advantage of that. Guangzhou coming up on another Shatter, which we've seen Cam hit a couple of really big ones here. Star Platinum's not looking as strong in the shrine as they were earlier. I'm almost wondering whether it's getting into a little bit more desperation playtime. We've seen them take a couple of interesting and maybe not quite so advantageous charges, but you also got to hand it to Haruhiro, who's been putting in a lot of good work putting up walls to keep Star Platinum separated from his team.
Early window going to come out here from Luka, and there's that fire strike. It takes out North. That breakpoint is going to be especially dangerous if you're a Tracer with only 150 HP. And Cam going to go ahead and come out with the Shatter, but end up going to get cleaned up there by Luka. Deadeye comes out from Capital. A couple of people lurking in the trenches here there. Slimehole eventually does get caught out, and Amnesia should be able to take this once they deal with Haruhiro, and the bot going to do a 360 and turn right back around.
Both Guangzhou and Amnesia used 3 ultimates that fight, but I gotta say that Guangzhou's ultimates may have been a little bit more high value with a little bit less outcome. They used their Shatter, their Freeze, and their Beat there, whereas Amnesia just used a High Noon, a Window, and a Beat. Either Shatter or Freeze can be potentially game or fight-winning ultimates here, and they've got both of them in their pocket as we come up here into the next fight.
That's a good Maywall there from Speedy, though. The stick gonna come out. Immortality Field is good, does help keep him alive, but Cam gonna go ahead and clean up Star Platinum, and the Shatter is going to come out. It does catch Slimehole. We'll see if that pick does end up getting cleaned up, and it is in fact Capital. Once again, the hero, the playmaker, that does clean that up and takes down Haruhiro to boot, so Amnesia, they're still clinging to life in this fight.
Yeah, absolutely looking really, really good there on Amnesia. We've seen Capital get some really key picks, and honestly, we saw a lot of smart play out of Star Platinum there. I know I had just said that, oh, maybe they're playing a little aggro, maybe they're trying to go for the hero plays, but honestly, he played that perfectly. Hit a really solid window fire strike to start off, hit a really solid Shatter. Both teams are looking just so good right now, and it's been really just a tug-of-war type of a map, which has been so much fun to watch.
Interesting play here from Amnesia, though. They're actually going to group up together and take the high ground, let the bot kind of flip a little bit back in favor of Guangzhou Gangsters, and that does end up backfiring as Luka gets hit with that window fire strike combo that Guangzhou Gangsters were sitting on, and it's once again just Capital. We've seen what he can do when it's just himself, but you know, lightning doesn't always strike twice. North does pick him off this time, and the bot is going to start pushing that barricade for Guangzhou Gangsters a little further.
Yeah, Capital does get that pick off onto Haruhiro, who has freeze, meaning that they're going to have to walk back from spawn a little bit with a escort by Slimeall here. We do see that both teams, again, are coming up on a couple of ults here. Haruhiro has a freeze, which could be absolutely massive, but we also see Capital have put in a lot of good work with that high noon.
It looks like the freeze is going to come out early, as is the high noon, but the high noon doesn't actually find much of anything, and the picks are coming out for Guangzhou Gangsters early here. The spawn advantage is in favor of Amnesia, but they have to be careful not to stagger this out too much, because that bot is going to start knocking on the door of their spawn door here. They're about to turn the corner and start making that final home stretch. You have to stop them here and start going back, and hopefully if you're Amnesia, get that checkpoint, but let's start with just stop the bot here.
Yeah, definitely. Amnesia does have both of their support ults online, which can be good for sustain and for damage output, but Guangzhou has a couple of their own. If North is able to land a really solid stick here, it could be game-winning for them.
Yeah, but it doesn't even have to. Honey Bunny gonna go and pick off Capital. North does get caught out just a little bit here, though, and that actually might be enough for Amnesia to start stabilizing here and making use of that spawn advantage, because, you know, we're all going to be back to full strength. It's going to take North a little bit of time to get there. Sound Barrier is going to come out from both sides, but Star Platinum does inevitably fall in the Ryan 1v1, and Guangzhou Gangsters, they don't want to give this up just yet. They take down Luca, and they're continuing the pressure. Honey Bunny a little bit far forward here, but there's not really anyone that can punish that, and the rest of the Gangsters are here, and they are pushing up, and this bot is now threatening to full cap.
Yeah, really strong beats coming out from both sides. The Slimeall's beat there absolutely put Guangzhou at a massive advantage there. Cam was able to play a lot more aggressively into Star Platinum.
That was okay, so Blizzard comes out from Speedy, and then Speedy uses the Ice Block and actually blocks Cam's Earth Shadow there, but despite that, all the picks are coming for Guangzhou Gangsters, and it looks like it is going to be Guangzhou Gangsters full capping, going up in the series 3-1.
Yeah, and I know we kept mentioning, like, oh, Guangzhou shouldn't go for the Brawl Mirror. Guangzhou shouldn't go for the Brawl Mirror, but they honestly looked really, really good there, and Amnesia just looked like they were caught on the back foot a bit. Really solid plays out here from Cam, but also had to hit it to Slimeall on main support. Definitely, like, augmenting there. That was the boop play where Slimeall booped the team that had been shattered back into Cam, allowing him to get play of the game. Just absolutely great play from both sides here.
That shatter again was absolutely beautiful. It's a really early, quickly built up shatter. Everyone's just flat on their backs, and then Slimeall's just like, here, you drop this, king. Delivers the entire team to him on a silver platter, and they just clean it up. That's a beautiful play. And yeah, I think what this might actually say about us, at least, is that we put a little bit too much stock into that first point where we saw Amnesia getting the better of the Brawl Mirror. You don't always want to put everything into that control map, and you don't always want to, like, you know, form your entire narrative around that, and Guangzhou Gangsters teaching us a little bit of a lesson here and showing that they actually can hang in a Brawl 1v1 here.
Definitely. I have been known to anchor on things and be biased in that way before, so it's classic for me. But we are going to another control point here. Control being the only map type that Amnesia has won tonight, and they've certainly got to win it here if they want a chance of staying into it. Guangzhou Gangsters at this point is one map away from winning the whole preseason championship.
Yeah, and if you're Guangzhou Gangsters, you gotta feel pretty good because, you know, having this much of a buffer, you do have a 2-map buffer here. If Amnesia wants to come back and get the win, they're gonna have to win the next 3 maps in a row. It's a pretty tough task because essentially you have to, you know, we're starting from control. Imagine just having to 3-0 another team, like it's a whole fresh series. So I guess you know, Amnesia, you can forget about the whole series and try and start there, but Guangzhou Gangsters, they have that firm lead here, and with Amnesia's map pick being control, you know, you're going to have a little bit of variation no matter what map it is. If you go to Oasis, if you go to Nepal, if you go to Ilios, there's going to be some variation in what you play, so you can get away with playing some of this Wrecking Ball, most likely. You can get away with trying to take some of these Rhine duels, or you can get away with maybe going back to the Winton.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're Amnesia here, you've just got to make sure to keep your mental fortitude in the game. They've got a lot of veteran leadership in their team, and having Capital Ring is honestly probably going to be helpful for that. He's been in the tournament since Season 3, I believe. But you just got to make sure to, like you said, take it as this is a new match. We just have to 3-0 them in order to win. But this is like a new set. Let's do this sort of a thing. If you're Amnesia here, kind of what is your strategy going into this pretty oppressive Guangzhou team that we've seen?
I mean, I think you kind of have to start with your map pick and go with something that you know that you're strong with. Maybe you have to find something else. Maybe there's something besides the Ryan Mirror that you've practiced that you can get the better of them on. You do want to make sure that you keep Capital in positions where he can frag out, because we're seeing a lot of value coming through on the Cassidy pick, and we did see a lot of value coming through with that Sojourn pick, so we know that if their hit scan for Amnesia is being set up for success, Amnesia does still have a dog in this fight. They can continue to keep building up momentum and keeping things going here. But there needs to be more than just the capital carry. There does have to be a little bit more coordination. There does have to be a little bit more cohesion and a little bit more decisiveness in some of these fights that they want to take.
Definitely, and that might be the point in where the team is a little bit of a disadvantage just because they have a ringer in. This isn't their practice squad. This isn't who they've been playing with. The coordination may not just be as much there as they would like. But on the other hand, Guangzhou is also just looking really good. They've been doing everything that we've mentioned that Amnesia kind of needs to work on. They've been playing really coordinated. They've been isolating targets really well. Like I mentioned earlier, this team is full of a bunch of people who have been playing together for 2 or potentially even more seasons together at this point. So they're going to have that synergy that can just be really, really tough to beat, especially in the preseason.
Yeah, and Amnesia, they are very much so behind the 8 ball here. Guangzhou Gangsters are at match point, and Amnesia have chosen the arena for their final stand. They are going to be taking us to Oasis. So I think, again, like, of the options that were left, that is a little bit more brawl favored if you think about Gardens, maybe. Definitely University, but City Center, if we go there, is where I kind of want to see. City Center is where this map is going to... Where Amnesia is either going to live or die in this series.
Yeah, but that said, we saw Guangzhou, I believe, run out on a Pharah first map in some of these, like, in the control points, which honestly worked really well for them on Lijiang Gardens, I believe, or Night Market. I don't remember which map it was. A couple of these points actually can favor Pharah pretty well as well, so it'd be interesting to see if that's kind of one of the looks they decide to give Amnesia. Although with Capital on the hit scan, I don't know if that's the smartest idea, but just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it was in fact on Night Market that was the case, and they could choose to roll out with it on City Center here. This is probably the most Pharah heavy map, either this or, again, Gardens. But that's one of the things where, like, this particular point in the overall Oasis, you know, ecosystem here is kind of an anomaly. It's a lot more open. It's a lot more, you know, there's a lot more open space. The point is a lot bigger. There's a lot longer sight lines, but not really enough to really favor a sniper. So we see more dives coming out on this sort of map. So we're seeing the dueling Wrecking Ball comps come out. Interestingly, Guangzhou Gangsters are coming out with a Zen and an Ana versus an Ana Brig on the side of Amnesia, and Speedy is once again on Grief the Ball duty on that Sombra. Early Stun going to come out here from Cam, and a Wall going to go ahead and get the rest of Amnesia locked over here on the highway, and Guangzhou Gangsters is going to take a little bit of an early position here on the point here, but once that wall comes down, Amnesia are going to go ahead and try and get back into the fight here. A hack onto Cam is going to ground him. No TV for you, but now Honey Bunny is the one in Speedy's sights, but forced to recall here. That Translocator going to get that Sombra out temporarily as he gets to low HP. Has to get some health packs before he can get back in the fight here, and Guangzhou Gangsters are going to hit first cap. This fight is going to drag out. Honey Bunny does fall. Star Platinum ends up being traded out here, though. Slimal is down, though, so Guangzhou Gangsters no longer have a support in this fight. They might be able to flip the point if you're Amnesia here. A cleanup onto Haru Hero, and that should be just about it. It's only Cam to try and touch, and he falls, and Amnesia cap.
Yeah, Guangzhou able to get first touch. They're getting a little bit of tick up there, but honestly, Amnesia just played that very, very well. Honey Bunny is going to be a little bit more diveable than Luca is on the Zenyatta, just because Saga's Brig is going to be a little bit more defensively minded than Slimal's Ana. But Slimal up, and then Slimal goes over to the Brig as well. So now they're playing a little bit more passive, a little bit more defensively. I think it's kind of interesting to think about they have Haru Hero on the Mei. I feel like Mei doesn't always work super well with kind of a ball scrambly comp, but I suppose if he's playing it like Speedy's playing the Sombra and just trying to make Ball's life living hell, it could work for him.
Yeah, you just, you know, slow down the ball. He doesn't really get to roll around for free. Speaking of being rolled around for free, Slimal gets rolled for free there with that pulse bomb. And again, the trade's starting to come out, but it looks to be favoring Amnesia right now as they have the rally up. But I think it's just their support line at this point, and Guangzhou Gangsters do in fact turn it around, clean it up. Luca gonna go ahead and go in for a little bit of a touch there, but a Zen 1v1ing a Tracer usually will favor the Tracer, especially when that Tracer has a Harmony Orb, and Guangzhou Gangsters flip the point back over.
Yeah, Haru Hero used his freeze there, didn't really catch anybody with it, but it definitely put Amnesia a little bit of a bad position, allowing Guangzhou Gangsters to really clean up. Guangzhou Gangsters are coming up on Mine and Trance here, both of which can be massive points for them, but Speedy does have that EMP up as well, which could prove to be the turning point for Amnesia's favor.
The mines from Cam did come out, and I'm not quite sure where they landed, but Speedy can easily wipe them off the face of the earth, as well as Guangzhou Gangsters backline with an EMP here. Early hack gonna come out onto Cam, and now he is the target. We want to get this Wrecking Ball as low as possible. Oh, there's the minefield. Hey, Speedy found it. Gets rolled right into it there. No EMP for you. And Guangzhou Gangsters, they should be able to stabilize here and keep this percentage ticking up in their favor.
Yeah, and they've surpassed Amnesia's point percentage gain here with up to 60%. Honey Bunny still has that trance up, probably just trying to avoid that Sombra's EMP. North does have Pulse Bomb as well. Oh, and a late pick onto Luca is going to set Amnesia even farther back and allow Guangzhou to pick up even more.
Yeah, Guangzhou Gangsters with a nice little drive-by there onto Honey Bunny, and they find Capital as well. Haruhiro again, an Icicle to the Dome. We're seeing these Maze taking down Tracers with these right clicks left and right in this series, and this time it's Haruhiro finding the better of Capital. Speedy still has this EMP, and it should be looking to use it, but who is the right target going to be? You've got to want to be looking for a backliner here, and you also have to make sure that the rest of your team is in position to capitalize on it. Slam, though, going to come out from Cam. It does get hit with the EMP, but there wasn't enough follow-up to deal with Honey Bunny before that Transcendence could be popped, and it does get popped, as does Speedy, who gets rolled right over, and all of the picks coming out in favor of Guangzhou Gangsters. The minefield from Star Platinum going to kind of lock those supports in a narrow hallway, and now they are done for. That minefield did more than its job. Blizzard going to come out from Haruhiro, but a Pulse Bomb is going to clean up Saga. It's a little bit back and forth here still, but it looks like Amnesia, they're still finding some of the picks. This minefield is still paying dividends for Star Platinum. That said, though, Cam is back and does find Luca, and it's now only Capital and Star Platinum with a sliver of HP on the point. Minefield from Cam gonna come out, though, block off that entire side, and a nice roll there to find two. Cam is definitely getting the better of the ball mirror in this one so far, but he can't quite clean up Star Platinum. Star Platinum still hanging on here, and if you can't deal with this Wrecking Ball swiftly, more reinforcements might start to come, but it looks like no one is there in time. Saga just a hair too shy of the point, and the Guangzhou Gangsters take it 100-46.
That was such a scrappy fight there at the end. It honestly was going back and forth for so long, but that really clutch trance from the Guangzhou Gangsters, and then the really clutch mines from Cam just really helped them to sustain and hold it there. Really solid Wrecking Ball play, honestly, from both sides. Star Platinum was looking really good there. Also got a couple of really great minefield placements and a really good minefield kill. But Guangzhou just able to edge it out just a little bit here. We do see Guangzhou going over to a Rhine Brawl comp here, where Amnesia is staying on the Wrecking Ball. Kind of an interesting thought. They're probably assuming that the Guangzhou Gangsters are going to stay on the Wrecking Ball, considering it did wonders for them on that first point. But it'll be interesting to see how they match up here.
Amnesia on the ball and Guangzhou on the Rhine. Shout out to Missy Elliott, because we have flipped it and reversed it. We got the Bastion, though, that might end up being a huge problem for Star Platinum, so you have to be really careful about your engagements here if you're Star Platinum, especially considering you only have the Brig and the Zen for heals. You're not going to get a whole lot of the burst healing that you might get out of an Ana or a Kiriko, but you will get a fair amount of burst damage if you're North and you're not watching your head. Luca was very heads up for that one, and Honey Bunny going to fall as well, and Amnesia should be able to get first cap off those picks.
Yeah, massive early picks there for Amnesia, just absolutely putting a ton of damage in. If you're Guangzhou here, yeah, they're swapping back over to the Wrecking Ball when they see Amnesia ran out on the mirror. It's going to put them in a little bit more of a disadvantage for ults, but not honestly by too much. They're both kind of sitting in the 20 to 30% range, except for Capital, who is coming up pretty close to that ult.
Yeah, haha, very funny, Guangzhou. Nice try on the Reinhardt comp, but let's go back to what we know you're good at. Cleaning up Star Platinum there with a hack. On this ball comp now, which again, like you said, that's what they're a lot more practiced on. It's what they looked a lot better on the previous point. Capital looking for a savior, but the supports are being pressured down by the Tracer and the Lucio in the backline here, so it looks like Guangzhou Gangsters should be able to flip the point back pretty swiftly, conceding only 32% to Amnesia.
Yeah, 32% isn't honestly too bad for a first fight, and Amnesia is coming up on a couple of really big DPS ults. Capital has been landing really good sticky nades all night. Speedy's gotten some pretty good solid EMPs up as well. Guangzhou is coming up close on their DPS ults as well, and they're actually fairly close to their Wrecking Ball ult.
Yeah, you got to be on the lookout for those mines, but I think if you're Amnesia, you want to go in as soon as possible with this Pulse Bomb and with that EMP, but you don't even need it if you just take down North. A Pulse Bomb going to go ahead and come out. Haruhiro, though, gets the better Pulse Bomb, though, cleaning up Saga, and Luca falls as well on the side of Amnesia. This is disastrous for Amnesia. They have to abort here, get themselves out. Capital falls as well, and it looks like Star Platinum is going to roll back to his happy place. Speedy, hey, didn't see you there, but thanks for coming.
And Cam, even though he ran out on the Reinhardt initially, has built up his mines before Star Platinum has, which is absolutely a testament to how good Cam has been looking on this Wrecking Ball all night. EMP and Coalescence coming up for the Guangzhou Gangsters. Amnesia still holding on to that EMP from last fights. We'll have to see whether they're able to take full advantage of it coming in here.
Yeah, and they really do have to flip the point as soon as possible. They don't want to get this into one-fight territory. The EMP comes out, and North is going to fall as a result, but a little bit of a late minefield there from Cam might stop a little bit of the reinforcements from coming in. Capital falls, though, as does Speedy, so we're at an even fight here. Luca cleans up Haruhiro, though, and Guangzhou Gangsters, they're starting to look a little bit on edge here, and Amnesia might be able to flip the point here.
Yeah, really, really good play from Saga and Luca from Amnesia there. Just really, really solid support, damage output, and things like that. Oh, Guangzhou puts in an EMP. They're still in this.
Yeah, they go for the EMP. Honey Bunny invests the Coalescence, but does get hacked out of it, so that's an ult down the drain, and I think that's disastrous. With that hack, I think they just snuffed out that recontest opportunity for Guangzhou, and now Amnesia can really start to stagger this out thanks to that investment.
Yeah, and they flipped the point, so it's been ticking up for most of this fight here. Guangzhou used a lot there. They still have their beat and their pulse bomb up. They used some pretty high impact ultimates, including the Coalescence that Speedy was able to hack here. Capital does have another pulse bomb up. We've seen him land a couple of really good sticks today, so we'll see whether he's able to use that to their advantage as they're coming up on 60%.
It kind of has to be on him, but if you're Guangzhou Gangsters, you know, you do have the sound barrier that you hopefully don't want to use too soon here, and you have a pulse bomb of your own, but it's really, really tricky to try and bank your whole existence on the pulse bomb here. Honey Bun does fall very early, but the sound barrier comes out. Haruhiro does go in with that pulse bomb, goes a little wide, doesn't find all that much of anything, and Amnesia is still in control here. They've got to heal up Star Platinum, but they do manage to take out North, so that might be enough. Minefield actually going to come out from Cam here, and I'm not sure if that was the play there. You have to find a little bit more value out of that one. They do clean up Star Platinum, though. Haruhiro was heads up with some of that damage to finish off there, and they might actually be able to flip it at 95%. It does go over to Guangzhou Gangsters, but Amnesia have not been snaked out of these tunnels just yet.
Yeah, I was going to say that this fight was favoring Amnesia pretty heavily, considering Guangzhou appeared to be trickling. They were able to get some really clutch picks there, and now they're at 95% and getting staggers.
That is absolutely disastrous. There has to be someone to touch. Amnesia has the ults to flip this fight, but they're going to have to be playing into Guangzhou Gangsters, who now have control, and they've taken Speedy out. You needed that EMP to go in here, but now you don't even have anyone left who can touch, and Guangzhou Gangsters do take it 2-0 on Oasis, and that is match point. They win it 4-1.
Guangzhou Gangsters just absolutely looked so coordinated in this game. Like, they were able to dive targets, they were able to stagger effectively, use their ults when they wanted to. Just really solid play from top to bottom for this team. Amnesia honestly had episodes where they looked really, really good. They were also playing really coordinated, like we mentioned on some of the Brawl comps, like on some of the even on some of their like Winston comps, but at the end of the day, Guangzhou just looked so coordinated and so practiced, and they were able to pull this out as a 4-1 win.
I gotta think that the reason that Amnesia picked Oasis in the first place was because they wanted to go specifically to University, where they could play that really close range Brawl comp, which we've seen them have success on. That's their bread and their butter, and they wanted to go there, but they don't even get the chance to. They needed to win out on Gardens, and I think they had a chance, but they lost it the second that Speedy died with that EMP, because you didn't have that opening ultimate to really go in and be your initiation tool. They went in with just the Wrecking Ball and a rally, and that was not nearly enough to stave off the pressure from a full strength Guangzhou Gangsters. That is a heartbreaking way to lose it on your map pick there, but shouts out to Guangzhou Gangsters, who prove that the only way out of this gang is in a body bag, and they zip Amnesia right up and send them off in the preseason.
Yeah, and you have to put it on Guangzhou Gangsters too. They were likely tracking that ultimate and knowing like, hey, the Sombra is our biggest threat right now. When you see her, just absolutely blow her up. So that was really, really good coordinated play from them. But next question I have for you, who is your player of the match tonight?
I think I'm going to have to give this one to Cam, to be completely honest. You know, kind of showing a little bit of that Rhine differential in Esperanza, whereas we kind of thought that, you know, Star Platinum was going to be the Reinhardt all-star player going on here, really going to be the Giga Chad with that jawline of a Greek god, but no, it was actually Cam on the Wrecking Ball and showing a strong Reinhardt as well. Very strong play. I have to give it to Cam.
It's a really good pick. I'm going to give it to Slimeall, I think. Main supports don't get a whole lot of recognition, but I feel like we said his name several times during the night with that big boop into the shatter with a couple of like really clutch reses and clutch time beats. Just absolutely fantastic play from them as well.
Yeah, it was fantastic across the board. As we go forward into Season 10, definitely be on the watch out for Guangzhou Gangsters to make some serious noise going forward here. Amnesia as well, they are not to be taken lightly, although they did get a little bit pushed to the side here by Guangzhou Gangsters, who look very strong and very well coordinated on any map that is not called Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, but reminder, both of these teams only dropped a single map apiece leading up into this. This is the pinnacle of our Transcendence tier preseason. Both of these teams are going to be very strong and definitely ones to watch out for. But as far as Tranquility action the rest of this week goes, we still do have the Discord tier preseason finals. That'll be happening tomorrow night on this channel, 8:30 EST. But thank you all for joining us tonight for this great Transcendence tier finals match. I have been BethCon2 on analyst, and we have CB on play-by-play. And your producers for tonight, which I cannot remember off the top of my head, have been Hippie and Laggy. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.